Expect delay. Nobody else. Moving takes in from the south. Stand by. Flight 022. Maintain approach. You're clear for runway. Expect traffic delay and restrictions. Take personal security precautions to avoid becoming a victim of an attack. Avoid crowded public areas and gatherings. Roger, maintaining 4000 runway 8 kilo holding. Do not travel in areas affected by the attack or in a known area of elevated virus activity. Keep emergency supplies accessible and a full tank of gas at all times.
Be careful.
Government officials have isolated intercepted the packet
Welcome to the Dancing Toaster. My name is Nelly, your host of this brand new paranormal podcast. Let's ride that pink elephant around the room, shall we? Why is the show called The Dancing Toaster? Well, I'm glad you asked. My lifelong love of the paranormal began with my favorite movie of all time. You guessed it, the Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusties. I love them so much. I love the sequel too. Yes, I unashamedly love Ghostbusters 2 as well. Fight me. Vigo the Slime, Janosch, all of it. Everything you are doing is bad. I want you to know this. Janosch is so good. When you think of Ghostbusters and toasters, where does your mind go? Where should it go? One of the best scenes of the second movie, Ray and Egon are running different tests using that pink slime, and Egon, he grabs that toaster, brings it over to the pool table. Ray puts some of that pink slime inside, and he says, "Oh, it responds to music," and Egon eventually says, "Oh, it loves Jackie Wilson." Your love is lifting me high. Oh, don't sing too much. Don't want Sony copyright demons coming for me. Sony has a lot of those. That toaster starts dancing around the table. Boom, there you go, the dancing toaster. I love that mid-dance it shoots some toast way up into the air. When I was a kid, I desperately wanted my toaster to shoot toast 2 feet in the air. I haven't found one that has been able to do that. If you know of one, holla at your boy. Now, I promise the whole episode is not me quoting Ghostbusters, but I will not apologize for how much I talk about them. I never get tired of those movies. That's where this love affair began, with the paranormal or supernatural, all manner of high strangeness. If you share that love, I think we're going to have a good time. I also admire how the Ghostbusters fearlessly faced the unknown, and they weren't afraid to ask questions or to be looked at as strange. As a pastor and a believer in the paranormal, I've had to get used to people looking at me strange from every side. I'm the senior pastor of Evergreen Calvary Chapel up here in Washington State. If the Evergreen didn't give it away, I can imagine that some get a little apprehensive at me mentioning I'm a pastor. Oh, he's a pastor. I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I was at Starbucks the other day, and the barista was trying to make small talk with me. She asked me what I did. I said, "Oh, I'm a pastor," and her face changed like I farted in her latte. It's not an uncommon reaction up here in the Pacific Northwest. People would rather talk about all manner of other things. People would rather talk about Bigfoot than Jesus. Lucky for them. I like to talk about both. I swim in both lakes. That being said, this won't be a traditional Christian podcast. I don't apologize for being a Christian or a pastor, but a lot of folks in my camp sadly have shut themselves off to the supernatural or paranormal or preternatural, whatever you want to call it, or not call it, since some have issues with those designations. They don't think they're useful. I personally do. I feel they do have explanatory power. I also feel that they have significant overlap with matters of religion and faith, but anyways, too many Christians ignore or just outright reject the supernatural world, which is just nuts to me. They'll believe in an almighty triune spirit being who apparently lives in another dimension, a virgin birth, a few pieces of bread feeding thousands, people coming back from the dead. Of course, some of them will acknowledge angels, just don't talk about them too much, and they'll even reluctantly believe in demons because Jesus cast a bunch out. But don't dare suggest that these realities have modern implications. Don't you dare suggest angels have anything to do with the world today, and you certainly can't suggest to them that those same demons from the Gospels are still around and their existence could possibly help us understand some of what's going on in the world around us. Oh no, they're far too sophisticated for that. I can't blame them entirely. They've tried so hard for years to fit in with all the stuck-up, sophisticated, sciencey types, embracing modernism, getting drunk on Enlightenment thinking and naturalism that's got them throwing away truths that people have believed and known about for centuries, especially people of faith. Now, on the flip side, science is a beautiful thing, don't get me wrong, But let's be honest, there are things about our world that science can't explain. The world is more than the physical. It's more than the things that can be observed, weighed, and measured. And heck, if you are into the paranormal in any way, you already know if it was observed or measured in any way, there are those that would attempt to cover it up. Now, I'm well aware that I'm not the first to this format, but I've been in love with and wrestling with the intersection of faith and the paranormal for years. Before I planted a church up here in the PN I was a teacher and a youth pastor in Texas for a decade. I apologize when that southern drawl creeps out, and it most inevitably will. I'd do a weekly Q&A with my students, and I'd also do another weekly Q&A with my youth group, and I loved the questions that they would come up with. That they wanted to make sense of the world around them, including the extraordinary, beautiful the mind of a child is. I won't hit you with that Yoda just yet, but I wanted to show them the Bible could help them to do that, even with the stuff that most people didn't want to talk about. And they loved that I was willing to talk about it. I believe the church's refusal to talk about certain things, especially some of the stranger things out there, it pushes people away. And it also pushes them into the arms of others. It pushes them away to get answers from other places, darker places, that will gladly assist them. So I told my students that nothing was off limits. I didn't always know the answer, but I told them we'd find out together. I tell y'all the same thing. There's the y'all. Get used to the y'all, the Texas coming out. I don't always know the answer still, but let's go on the journey to see what we can learn together. I want to throw my voice into the discussion. I want to join the journey. I want to come to the table. I'm passionate about theology. I've been a pastor almost 14 years. I've been passionate about the paranormal for almost 40 years now. And like I said, I think there's a lot more overlap than people want to admit concerning the faith and the paranormal. I may have some different takes than other shows. Calvary Chapels are charismatic churches, so we already are more open to the supernatural and to spiritual topics than some of our more reformed cessationist brothers and sisters. That's not a dig, just a fact. But even within Calvary Chapels, I find very few willing to touch on the topics that I want to address, at least few that are willing to address them on record. Calvary Chapel or not, too many just don't want to talk about this stuff. I'm sure they have their reasons. Some think it'll make people look at them like they're nuts, so they play it safe. I'm used to that, so it doesn't bother me. Others don't see the value in it. They make the Bible, a very supernatural book, by the way, they make the Bible into a self-help book that will only show you how to pray, how to raise your kids, how to tell the truth at work and on your taxes. Not bad things, but the Bible and spirituality are so much more than that. Some insist it's a distraction. This is all a distraction, saying, I'm wasting my time. It distracts from Jesus. It distracts from the gospel. And I'm like, are you kidding? Jesus is the ultimate overlap of the supernatural and natural colliding. He is the God-man. Volumes have been written on the incarnation and the hypostatic union of Jesus, and we still won't fully grasp either until we see him. He has more supernatural encounters than any other teacher or prophet or biblical figure, and the authority that he exhibited over both the physical and supernatural world shook his audiences to their cores. It's also not a waste of time because I've seen that being willing to approach people where they're at with common interests has built bridges. It has created many opportunities to talk about spiritual things, to talk about Jesus with those who otherwise wouldn't listen, and I still want to build bridges. Then there are some that want to reduce the supernatural and secretly reject it. They say, well, no, I don't. I believe in God. I believe in angels. No, you believe in the bare minimum to remain within orthodoxy and still be accepted by your Reformed friends. I believe they're committing the error that C.S. Lewis called chronological snobbery. C.S. Lewis coined the term speaking of those that believe we in the present are somehow superior to those in the past just because our knowledge is more recent. This, of course, leads many to be dismissive or have dismissive attitudes towards historical ideas and knowledge and achievements. The ancients believed in a vast and varied spiritual world, but we somehow know better. The Western Church has become selectively supernatural, and I believe she has done so to her detriment. What if you've stumbled upon the dancing toaster and you're not a Christian? Well, if you're still listening up to this point, you are amazing. You're already more open-minded than many Christians I know. I want this podcast to appeal to the Fox Mulder types as well. Yes, favorite TV show is X-Files over here. I got the same poster as Fox Mulder hanging up in my office where I prepare sermons. I love him. I love you, you who love questioning. You and I can agree there is more to the world than what our five senses can perceive and understand. But just as I hope to challenge Christians to the reality of these things, I also hope you'll be challenged to see that there are answers to some of these mysteries. And some of them are a lot more black and white than you may have been told.